We're at the home stretch of South by Southwest 2023. Look where we are, beautiful downtown Austin, Texas, for the world premiere of Blindspotting Season 2. Now, the film had its premiere here in 2018. We're going to hear from the cast right now about why Blindspotting Season 2 is brighter than ever.
Excited to be here in South by Southwest.
This is where everyone goes to really, see the first looks.
We were able to come here for our film in 2018, so it's really nice to be back.
A lot of what happens in the first season is dealing with the Miles character has just gone into prison and the family are first dealing with that. So now we're 9 months in, and I think we're trying to find out how you have the characters deal with that but still keep levity in their lives and try to enjoy living.
If you thought first season was insane, it's just more insane. Like, we just decided to get crazier.
Everything that you might have loved about season one, we have doubled down. It's more dance, more verse, it's crazier, it's funner.
You can expect really the unexpected. I think you can sit down and watch it and know you don't know what's going to happen.
I think season 2 is bigger, it's bolder, it's more grand. I think season 1, Rafa and Diggs kind of laid out the language of the show for the audience. So now people are used to spoken word and seeing movement and just the way that they approach filmmaking.
We had never made TV before, so a lot about making television is learning how to make television, I think. And in season 2, we had a much better idea of what we were doing, which both allowed us to contain some things that I think ran a little rampant in season 1, but also push way harder.
We really also tried to listen to the audience about what they loved about the show and make sure that they got more of it. So a lot of people love the comedy, it's even funnier. It's more Trish, there's more Earl, there's more Janelle, more Atticus. We just tried to really make the show that we wanted to make in the second season, just with a bit more confidence. It's been really beautiful.
Everybody really put their all into the character. And when you first start a TV show, you're not really familiar with who you're playing, and over time, you get to know them a little bit better and they become a part of you slowly. So I think with season 2, we all finally set into who we are as this character, and we really get to show out.
We're telling a story that deals with really, really serious issues, but we're doing it in a comedic, in a lighthearted way. And that's what life is, right? We go through things, but we find the joy even in the midst of the struggle.
You won't believe it. I promise you, if you thought last season was exciting, wait till you see this season.
I feel like everybody's gonna love it, and it's just awesome.
Make sure you stay tuned for season 2 of Blindspotting. Yeah.
So I'll just get going with a very general question for everyone. Literally, step on the line so everyone can see you, and for the pictures mostly. Please do get in line behind all those 2 mics if you have any questions, but I'll get going, and don't let me speak because I could go on for 2 hours. This is a question for literally all of y'all. Do not take the Western episode into account. What were you guys able to do in the second season that you were not able to do in the first?
No, we had a great time. I think we just had a little bit more confidence in the show now that we knew that at least some people liked it. And we had always planned to do a crazy Western episode in the first season, so we finally got to do it in the second. That was a really good time. And I think a fantasy for a lot of us to make, Oakland an old Western town. But mostly we just got to have a lot more fun with each other. We didn't have to film it in quite the extreme level of a pandemic that the first one was in. And so I think we just got to vibe off of each other a little bit more. And truly, Jess Wu Calder got to direct 2 episodes, which was a big, big change from season 1. Stepped everybody's game up. Yeah.
I got to just have more fun. Like Rafa said, with COVID restrictions, the first season being at their height, we really weren't even able to interact as a cast. So this time, I just had an opportunity to build more with the people who did all this incredible work, which was dope.
Jasmine, you lift the mic up, so do you have something to say?
You kind of said what I wanted to say, but there's a 4th episode, and the crew comes back together again, and I just think it is more fun this second season. I think we took it up a notch to be more wild, to be more crazy, to be more funny. I think that's what we wanted to focus on more in the second season. It is a comedy. We do touch on really important issues, but at the end of the day, it is a funny show, kind of just like reality. I think people kind of go through trauma sometimes, but also laugh through it, and There's a lot of humanity in the show, and I don't know. I just think we had more fun. I did, at least.
Well, I guess I'll just talk about what everyone wants to talk about. That Western episode. So you wanted to do in the first season, you weren't able to do it, you did in the second. Did you adapt the storyline so it would match more the timeline of the second, or was it already set like that?
We had a version of the story for a while. We certainly built, because David and I wrote episode 3 that Jess beautifully directed, and so I think we all kind of conspired to make sure that it would line up to a certain degree. I think we sort of got ourselves stuck in a corner there when everyone started acting like a zombie on episode 3. We're like, all right, we're gonna have to deliver on that later. But no, we had talked about it early on as wanting to do this. You know, Trish says this thing in the first episode of season 1. She says the tech industry is the new gold rush, and she says, and we're the new sort of, we're the madams, we're the new entrepreneurs, and that always stuck with us as a line we wanted to come back to. And gentrification feels a lot like how the Western expansion went, and so we always wanted to do that parallel. And then we also wanted to just do a big analogy for the 49ers and the Raiders having their forever feud. We're going to have some really upset Niners fans, but whatever, they almost won. We loved that. It was also a nice break, sort of 2/3 of the way through the show, to move locations and dress up in these ridiculous outfits and shoot myself. It's been my dream for a while.
I'll just ask one last question because I see the line. David, were you just okay, I cannot miss this episode. I gotta come back for the Western?
I'm on set if I can be. You know what I'm saying? I'm just there, but I don't. The show's really fucking good. I don't need to be in it. So it was. So I'm really I have such a good time watching this all happen and getting to write and do all this stuff. There's nothing missing for me in my experience of this show. So it really takes everybody kind of yelling at me and forcing me you gotta be in this one. And then my boy's directing, he's gonna make me look cool and shit. So I don't it was a good entrance. But obviously it was that's the fun one. I didn't want to miss that one, but I was just sitting with Jess and Keith and the rats that came out late at night on that set. That was.
Oh my God, the rats in the Western.
Well, you gotta make it look accurate.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Hi, Alina. I actually think you all know me. I wanted to ask Atticus specifically, what do you feel is your favorite part about acting as Sean?
So acting as Sean is really fun. Some of my favorite some of my favorite parts are when in the Western scene. That was one of my favorite parts. And one of my favorite parts are funny scenes usually. And when we were in the prison, I like doing cool stuff.
Yeah. I like doing cool stuff.
I have just one question for you, Atticus. Are you allowed to watch the show?
Right.
No.
Yo, what's poppin'? My name's Chris. I'm from Ohio. Shout out to the Bay and all that.
Gang.
Hey. No, but definitely, y'all, Sean, you with the shits. You feel me? We know the see. No, but my question is to all you. Within it being comedy, with everything that's being so, it's hard hitting things, objects and subjects in the story. I'm sorry. How do y'all unpack with everything, right? Because like we said, it's comedy, it's funny until it ain't no more, like you guys said earlier. And it gets to the end, you're like, damn, that was a little tough. So how do y'all unpack at the end of scenes and at the end of shows and episodes?
I feel like a good actor question. You know.
Let's go with Benjamin because because especially coming from the second episode and they ask you like the birthday episode and it's like why you ain't been around, and we all seen the first season, the end of the first season, so like you got to kind of come in off the strength of the last season and it was so heavy on your character. So how do you jump back into season 2 and you carry that load and then they like cut, you like, well, all right guys, it's been real. Like how do you unpack?
It's not all right, guys. It's been unreal. It's knowing that you have a team that has I'll go talk to them about what the thing is, what the burden is, what the feeling is. I'll talk to the rest of the cast about this is what's difficult. And I remember we did episode 6 of season 1, and there was a lot of conversations about colorism and race, and those were conversations we had outside of the moment of that scene. So I think number one, not trying to create such a wall or such a leap, but being willing to let the work bleed into our real life conversations because we care about it and because that work impacts us in real life is number one for me. And then number 2 is engaging with real people, and engaging with the humanity of real people is really what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that in real life, it's a reiteration of what we said before. In real life, we laugh about the shit that impacts us. We laugh about the thing, not everything, not every time, but oftentimes, even if we're not laughing about it, we're laughing through it. And so just remembering that grounds me personally as an actor. It reminds me that real people have to find laughter through trauma. Otherwise, a lot of times they're not able to people. They're not able to exist on a day-to-day. And so I think we find the laughter, even if it's fake, right? Even if it's forced. Sometimes it's you fake it till you make it, and it applies there too. Ha ha ha, that's real funny. But shit's terrible at home. But we do that. And so knowing that that's something that happens with real people, as an actor, I want to bring that element of realness to the screen. So I think those are the 2 ways that I think of that.
Okay, my name's Mel. I was wondering, these characters, they go through a lot, and they have a lot of heavy things that they're working through in their lives. And some of you have been affected by that, and some of you haven't. How were the different ways that you incorporated things that you've experienced or that people experience, and how did you kind of bring that to the screen? Or if you didn't have a direct experience, kind of what did you use to build your character and bring that to the show?
I know for me personally, with Trish, I just looked at all my homegirls. All the girls that I hang out with, I'm like, you are in my mind right now. That's how I get to know my characters, is people I know. And then I just channel what do I relate to them on, Do we like the same music, Do we like the same kind of people? Just different things like that. So.
Hi. I know for me with playing Janelle, I'm not gonna say it was easy, but something that I found that was very comforting is the fact that Janelle and I have a lot of parallels. We're very similar in a lot of ways, so a lot of Janelle's experiences I can personally relate to, and I was able to pull that out. And a big thing for me with playing Janelle is, and a big thing even with this show is representation. We are representing so many different narratives, so many different people and experiences, and it's I love who Janelle is. I love her being a multifaceted and a brown-skinned black woman with locks on the show. And, and we need to see that being represented on screen. So me, personally, as an artist, I'm very passionate about using my voice for the voiceless and inspiring and doing all that stuff. So I just pull from all that because I'm just a passionate person and all my passion bleeds into my art. Amen.
I'm not gonna mess with that. Hi, I'm Morgan. I was such a fan of the movie. I'm such a fan of the show and how it's expansive in the story, but gave the movie kind of its own grace and each kind of have its own celebration. So just thankful for you all for just doing such a good job with just having those 2 stories interwoven. But my question really is, one of my favorite parts about the show is that there is such kind of this long-form narrative with a music video kind of tone, which I really love, just the integration of the music and the choreography. And I'm just wondering,
kind of what the process is, the thought process of which parts of the story are going to showcase it in this musical kind of way. Like, is it something that you think about in the script? Is it something that you think about as far as directors that you might be working with that may be like music video background? Like, it's just the placement is so thoughtful, and I just would love to kind of know what that music interwoven process is to make it so magnificent.
I think a lot of people involved in the creative process have a background in music, so I think that there's that first. Benjamin's a writer on the show. He's a musician. Jasmine's a musician. Obviously, David is a musician. I think that immediately helps with sort of taking it from page to performance. There are two sort of big conventions in the show. Obviously, we use movement and we use verse. Kind of the rule of thumb in the writer's room, and we're working on it, is that when you feel the full reach of the prison industrial complex landing on the character, that's when the dancing starts. It's when sort of the something that is impossible to articulate but is weighing heavy is present. We abandon words and we go into the physicality of the impact that it has. John Boogs is here, our choreographer, who's brilliant. And really, Boogs taught us that through his work. That's why we collaborate with him and Lil Buck on the show. And then verse, I think everyone has a different idea of what verse is for the show. Obviously, there's been a lot of shows that like do a direct address to camera. I'd always been really interested in a verse direct address to camera. My justification is they are notes to Sean when he's older about this period in his life where he's too young to fully understand. And so it's Ashley writing poems for him when he's grown. So that's our approach. That's my approach, at least, to writing those verses. Is her trying to find the language to explain why she was how she was when he was really young.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you so much for that. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Salma, and first of all, I love you all. Y'all are amazing. My question is, as a whole, or as individuals, who do you feel you relate to more as characters, and what are some difficulties you experienced either through character choices or directing or even writing?
I mean, I can relate to Ashley in a lot of very different ways. I think she juggles a lot. I think she tries her best just to do her best. I think she has high expectations for herself. And there is a whole group, there is a whole family that is here to help her, but I think she just wants to prove to herself, she just wants to almost do everything herself and prove that she can do it. She loves her family so much, and I love my family so much. And I think one of her biggest strengths is her love, which is really, really powerful. There is a system that is trying to break this family apart, and the show tries so hard to just show that there is so much love there and that this family is going to make it. I think a lot of times we see that they don't make it. And this is a show about how we actually get to the end, how we get to the other side, and we are still whole and we are still a family. And I think that's really important. And so I think I can relate to that a lot. I'm really close to my family, and my family helps me out, even if they are annoying sometimes or whatever. Like, we all have that, but family is really important, and you can't do this by yourself. You need a tribe. and this is a very strong tribe in the show, and that's really important. So.
And back to you.
Sorry to cut you off. So my question is about the process of, y'all talk about some really abstract ideas and you come up with these really cool metaphors for them. What's the process of coming up with those metaphors? Like, how do you physically show something that's like really abstract like that?
Oh, I don't know. It's, I mean, I would say most things on this show start with either like a dumb joke or a bunch of discussion about something. Like there's an idea in the air, right? We have the show that we're serving and we have the narrative that we're serving and the plot is going forward. But basically like ideas are around. And at some point like someone reaches up and grabs an idea and everybody involved starts spinning out on this idea. And at some point that idea becomes a thing, like a giant red monster, right? And then we put it in the show.
Yeah, like for episode 3, which was the second one we watched today, we were just like, what would really ruin their visit? What would, like, they're trying to just fuck and like have good family time. What could Sean say or do that would really take up a lot of time? We're like, oh, you know what they'd have to stop and talk about? Is if they're a little biracial kid. I was like, hey, what does this mean? And just said it full out. And so I think a lot of them are things like that where we start riffing on jokes and we're like, oh man, but, you know, maybe this would get said. Or, you know, I remember us sitting around and joking about the gold rush hour, which is a really stupid rush hour joke. You know, we just, nobody catches it. You know, we're like, these, you know, we talk a lot about like this show is filled with jokes for 10 people. You know, like something happens in the show and we go, no one's gonna get that, but 10 people. But those 10 people are gonna think we're geniuses. And we do a lot of that.
But then like everybody is in on, the joke keeps going, right? The reason that board looks the way it does is because the art department read that scene and made that incredibly racist board. So then, so we had to add that line in about don't look at this is super racist. And then we got to put those gold blocks in the Western episode because it's all feeding into each other, right? So literally everybody involved with the machine gets to feed the machine. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. We only have time for 2 more, so it's going to be you first and then you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Oh, me? First of all, can we just take a moment to appreciate all these amazing outfits on stage? Y'all look beautiful. My question will be short and sweet. My best friend and I are huge fans. She wasn't able to come today, so I'm going to ask her question, and she just wants to know when Mile and Colin's EP will be on vinyl.
Tomorrow comes out now.
I don't even know if we can talk about the legal ramifications of that. So like, it won't. But I mean, but you never know. De La Soul shit just got, you know what I'm saying? Like it could happen, but it won't.
Thank you.
And we'll finish with you.
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations to all of you. And I have a question for Rafael. I once heard you say during the Blindspotting movie Q&A that everything we create either reinforces or challenges the status quo. And being able to see you again in a Q&A today and seeing all these wonderful scenes and wonderful characters that challenge each other, like what was that writing process and how close do you keep that philosophy to your heart?
First of all, you came with receipts and I respect that. And I'll be barred up sometimes. I'll be hearing shit back. I'm like, I said, what? Amazing. Look, I think my job on the show is to just remind us what we're doing. You know, as simple as that sounds, it's just like we have a North Star. We're trying to tell a very small story well, and then allow the small things in that to get complicated. That is sort of life for us, right? It's like you can be small town and it's just you and your family, and it gets unbearably heavy and complicated, or it's wildly funny but just to y'all. I think sometimes we sit in our room and go, one of our North Stars is, oh, that's fucked up, but is it true? Did it happen? Did it happen just like that? Oh, then we got to do it. A thing that we talked a lot about in the movie was like our job is to hold up a mirror. It's not to give answers. It's just to go, this is what it looks like. Do you agree with that? Do you like how that looks? And so we do that a lot in the show. We go, look, we're going to paint the situation for what it is. There's a scene with a lot of love and a lot of ugly. There's one of my favorite moments that I forgot all about today is just when Ashley goes outside by herself in episode 3. And there's no words, it's directed brilliantly by Jess. And the only thing that happens is, yeah, give it up for Jess. And the only thing that happens, like they're so uncomfortable outside. They're in a prison. They're in San Quentin. They're surrounded by men everywhere. And this girl turns to Ashley and just twerks. Just to relieve the tension, just a little bit. And I think the hope is to just fill the show with a bunch of superhuman moments like that. So that they feel like people you know. Because if they feel like people you know, then every time you hear something on the news about someone who got arrested, or there's this many, there's 2 million people in prison, there's 5.5 million in the prison industrial complex. It's no longer just some number. Every one of those numbers got a Ashley, got a Sean, got a family that's got to deal with it. That's a lot of people. That's the world that we live in. The show also doesn't even deal with why Miles is in there, because it doesn't fucking matter. We shouldn't have people in prison like that. And so it hopes to build empathy so that we put emotions to faces and names when we discuss the fate of people who are disproportionately targeted by a system that is kind of meant to hunt and trap black and brown people mostly. And to build empathy for that across the board. Of Stars is subscription-based. No, but thank you so much for your question. I appreciate it.
Well, on that note, give them a very warm round of applause. The QR code is right there, so don't forget to vote and keep it up. There are a lot, so as they exit the stage, y'all have to keep them warm. It's freezing in here. It still is freezing.
Thanks, everyone.
Well, the lights have come down on the premiere of Blindspotting Season 2 here at South by Southwest 2023. Now, I said how we're in the home stretch here, but really, there is so much more to come, so keep checking back right here for more premiere coverage. Austin, Texas, South by Southwest 2023.